So without further ado, let's begin with what I think is going to be in 2025, what I think is going to be hot, what I think is going to be happening in 2025. Starting with shopping in person and shopping at the mall. Yeah. Yep. Online shopping has been all the rage the past few years, and understandably so, right? Online shopping is incredible and better than shopping in person in many ways. Number one, you can find absolutely anything. Absolutely anything. If you want to find a pair of socks that have toe holes so that your toes stick out the front and the heel is padded and it comes up 3 inches on your leg and they're blue, you could find it. Whereas you show up to the mall trying to find something niche like that, good luck. Obviously, the options are endless online. Also, there's something so fun about sitting in bed or even like sitting in the lobby of your doctor's office shopping. You know, you can shop anywhere, comfort of your own home, killing time, waiting for a doctor's appointment. You get the idea. It makes sense that shopping online has been all the rage the past few years. It's in a lot of ways better. But I think, as with all things, online shopping is not perfect. And its shortcomings are starting to show themselves as we've all been shopping online for the past few years. And I think shopping in person is starting to seem appealing again to a lot of people. I think, number one, I think we all have underestimated over the last few years how important it is to try something on. I can't tell you how many times I've ordered something online and it's been imperfect. The fabric is itchy. The fit isn't quite right, blah, 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 blah. And I've kept it and been like, oh, I'll get it tailored or, oh, I'll just get over it because I was too lazy to return it. Shopping in person, you try something on and you find out if it's perfect or not immediately and you just put it back and it's easy. I know that these are all obvious things, but I don't know. I absolutely underestimated the importance of trying on clothes the last few years. And recently, as I've been focusing on shopping in person more because it makes me a more conscious buyer, which is good for me because I am recovering from a shopping addiction, I've realized, wait, this is the move. We should all be doing this. And I have a feeling that I'm not alone in this discovery. I think everybody's going to be discovering the power of shopping in person in 2025. Not only does it prevent imperfect buys because you're able to try stuff on and touch the fabric, but it's also an outing. It's something to do. And I've seen so many articles over the last few months, maybe even years, about how lonely the younger generations are. And I think a third space like the mall is perfect for socializing and hanging out and being around people. So I don't know. I just see shopping in person coming back into style, especially the mall. I don't know. I, over the holidays, shopped at some malls, some modern malls that have stores that people like, that have beautiful modern design that doesn't feel super early 2000s. And I was like, you know what? The mall is not dead. I thought the mall was dead because so many malls feel outdated. That's just because they haven't updated, okay? There are malls out there that have updated that are great. And so, I don't know. I just think shopping in person in the mall is back. That's my opinion. Okay, moving on. I think the smaller iPhone is in. For many years, we all thought that the superior iPhone was the iPhone Pro Max, the big iPhone that's like a fucking iPad. It might as well be an iPad because it's so big. That was perceived as the ideal iPhone for many years, at least for me and the people that I'm around. You know, it's bigger, it's better. And I think because we were all in this sort of honeymoon phase with technology and with the internet, the bigger iPhone made sense. It's like, well, I want to be able to watch movies on it. I want to be able to see my Instagram feed very large on my phone. You know, I want to be able to write emails on this massive phone. It's kind of awesome to have an iPad in your pocket. I think the honeymoon phase with the internet and with technology is over now. And having an iPad in your pocket is not as desirable anymore. Okay. I think now everybody's trying to get off of their phone, trying to be on their phone less. And so having a smaller iPhone I think that that's going to become the standard again, having the smaller little iPhone. It fits in your pocket easier. It's less, I don't know, like because the screen is smaller, maybe in theory, you won't want to go on it as much. That probably doesn't work or isn't like a real thing. But I think a lot of people, myself included, would assume that and would maybe choose the smaller iPhone for that reason. I don't know. I just see the smaller iPhone coming back in. And listen, majority of us are not getting a new iPhone every year. I definitely do not. I wait as long as I possibly can because I don't like switching everything over. So this might take a few years, but I think the popular choice is going to be the smaller iPhone. Next, minimalism. I think full-fledged minimalism is coming back into style. I'm talking about like the cult-like minimalism. The borderline toxic sort of minimalism. This was really popular a few years ago, and then it sort of fell out of favor. I think it's going to come back. By cult-like minimalism, I mean really getting rid of absolutely everything, every single item being perfect. I sort of see it becoming, for a lot of people, a fixation, an obsession of getting their minimalism lifestyle down to a science. And that's what happened a few years ago. I don't remember how many years ago it was, but I think it's just a natural response to hyper consumerism, which has been very in style over the last few years. The content that we've been watching over the last few years has been hauls and organizational videos and just videos about stuff. I can't tell you how many videos I see per day because the algorithm serves them to me about stuff. Even on the news, we see stuff about how, people are collecting this new viral item. Like people are collecting the Stanley Cup in every single color, and they're waiting outside of Target to get the new Stanley Cup at 6 a.m, even though they already have 9 Stanley Cups, not even 20 Stanley Cups at home. The last few years have been all about consumerism. So I think naturally extreme minimalism is going to become trendy, is going to be in for 2025. Now, I think extreme minimalism is unsustainable for most people and not actually the most productive approach. That's my opinion. I think it works for some people, but I think for majority of people, it's too extreme of a lifestyle. So I think the extreme minimalism is going to be sort of a fleeting trend. But I actually think the trend of extreme minimalism is going to have a net positive effect because I think a lot of people are going to try it and fail, but they'll end up somewhere where they still have a better relationship with their items and with consuming stuff than they did before, if that makes sense. So I actually think it's going to be a net positive sort of trend. Like, I am not a minimalist, okay? I'm not even trying to be a minimalist. However, I really admire a lot of the philosophies that minimalists hold dear to their heart. And I take what serves me and leave the rest. I don't consider myself a minimalist at all. I'm not a minimalist at all. But I have, over the years, really kept in mind their philosophies and they've benefited my life immensely. And so I think that will be the net positive of minimalism being in 2025. And we're already sort of seeing that being discussed with various online trends, like people talking about underconsumption core, which is basically just living normally and consuming normally and sharing that. Like, hey, look, I only have 1 water bottle. I don't have 9 Stanley Cups. Check out the 1 pair of running shoes I have that I've had for the last year. Just sharing normal consumption because online it's been all about buying as much as you possibly can. Okay, next. Indie art and entertainment. Low budget stuff. I feel like over the last few years, I've heard a lot of people talking about how big budget projects in entertainment, big budget movies, big budget TV shows, big budget music albums are just not hitting the mark. They're just not exciting to people. And I've been hearing that swirling around for honestly the past few years, and that's not to say that there haven't been some big budget projects that have been incredible. I mean, there definitely has been a few, but I feel like the general consensus around big budget industry projects is, 9 out of 10 times this shit sucks. It's just not as good as it used to be. And I think a natural response to that is going to be an uptick in indie artists, indie music, indie, filmmakers, indie TV show makers. And I think now more than ever, you can be indie. You don't need the industry to make art. You can make an album and put it on Spotify all by yourself. You can make a movie and put it onto YouTube if you want. There aren't really gatekeepers of the industry anymore. So yeah, you can be indie more than ever. And definitely like there is indie stuff happening, but I think 2025 is the year of indie. I don't know. I think it's going to become, in the entertainment industry, I think it's going to become trendy to do things yourself, to make an album, a music album all by yourself, to not be signed to a label, to go and make a movie with your friends and submit it to a film festival. And who cares what fucking happens if no one picks it up, put it on YouTube and then it goes viral. I think that we're long overdue for this in art. And I think it happens. There's like a phase of indie, and then there's a phase of big budget, and then there's a phase of indie. And then, right? I feel like it maybe goes back and forth every few years. And so I think indie's back, which I love, of course. A lot of my favorite art of all time is like low budget stuff. Like Napoleon Dynamite is my favorite movie of all time. That was total indie movie, low budget. And it's, to me, one of the best movies of all time. And so I don't know. I see that coming back in to style. Next, normcore. Okay. I Googled the definition of normcore and it didn't really paint the picture of what I think normcore is. So I'll give you my own personal definition of normcore. When I think of normcore, I think of quite literally just normal core. Okay. So normcore meaning like the house that I grew up in, the car that my dad had growing up. I'm talking about normal, like architecture, like just like a normal house, normal stuff, common stuff, not flashy, not expensive necessarily, not like shitty quality, but like not designer, normcore. Okay. Now I know you're thinking, Emma, you're talking about you're turning normal life for 99.9% of people into an aesthetic or a core. No, I'm not fucking doing it. Don't point fingers at me. This is my prediction, babe. This is my prediction. Okay. I'm not saying I like it. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying it's politically correct. This is just what I see coming. Okay. I think it's going to become a trend to be normal, which, to be honest, I don't think is actually necessarily a bad thing. I think it's a little bit frustrating for people who are not like, well, see here, let me clarify. I think it's going to become a trend online for like influential people, meaning like celebrities, influencers, billionaires, like tech geniuses, scientists, like influential people who set trends, are really highly visible. I think it's going to become a trend for them to live a more normal life. I think extravagance is going to become a bit cringe. Now, listen, do I think every fucking celebrity is going to downsize their home and get a Toyota instead of having a Bentley wrapped in like metallic wrapping? No, but I think that it's going to become more of a trend than ever. I think being normal and living a more normal life is going to become trendy for influential people, which is then going to make it feel trendy in the world because, of course, that's kind of how that works. Let me give an example. Like I imagine a paparazzi photo of like Ed Sheeran, and Ed Sheeran bought a Prius. He's a fucking billionaire probably, but I could imagine in 2025 Ed Sheeran getting a new car and it being a Prius. He's like, fuck it. I don't need the Bentley anymore. I'm just going to get a Prius. Or I could imagine like Adele buying a cute little normal 2-bedroom cozy house in Colorado and taking a photo in it. And it's like, it just looks like a normal house. It looks like the house we all grew up in, or majority of us. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I see it happening, and I don't know if it's going to happen. I actually quite like it because I don't think that there's anything wrong with extravagance. If you have the money and you want to do, like, who am I to fucking judge? I don't, and there's things in my life that I've done that are considered potentially extravagant. Like, I'm not fully against it, right? I get it. You only live once, and if you worked hard and made money, or your family worked hard and made money, and now you want to live sort of extravagantly, it's just none of my fucking business, right? I don't want to get involved in how somebody else spends their money, okay? I mind my own business. However, I do think that it's not necessarily necessary. And I don't think there's anything wrong with maybe downsizing or realizing, you know what, I'd rather spend my money in other ways. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I could see that being a trend. And I could also see like extravagance becoming sort of cringe. Big houses, big fancy cars that are custom. Like, I actually could see that becoming cringe in 2025.